a place called Mercy. The road to St. Augustine's monastery wound through the hills like a scar. Clara Jennings hadn't driven this far in years, not since the night everything fell apart. Now, with the rain whispering across her windshield, she wondered if forgiveness was a place you could drive to, or if it lived only in the hearts of those brave enough to face their past. The monastery appeared through the fog, a grey silhouette against darker skies. She parked beside the old stone gate, the one her father used to stand by when he came to fetch her as a child. He'd been a good man once, before the drink, before the night she had run barefoot down this very road, her mother's voice echoing in terror. Clara stepped out into the drizzle. The air smelled of wet stone and pine. Somewhere inside the monastery, a bell tolled, deep, mournful, steady. She had sworn never to return after that night, when her father, drunk and furious, had struck her mother, and Clara had pulled him away. In the struggle, he fell, hit his head, and never woke up. For years, she'd carried that memory like a wound she couldn't stop reopening. Her mother had forgiven her, of course, said it wasn't her fault. But guilt doesn't always listen to reason. She became a nurse, perhaps to atone, to mend what she couldn't that night. And yet, no matter how many lives she saved, one face never stopped haunting her. Her father's, pale and still, his eyes open as if waiting for her to say she was sorry. A figure stood at the monastery door as she approached. Brother Thomas, older now, his kind eyes untouched by time. "Clara Jennings," he said softly. "It's been a long time. Too long," she replied, her voice barely carried. He gestured her inside, where candlelight flickered across stone walls. "We still pray for you," he said. She gave a small, broken smile. "Maybe that's why I came back." He led her into a small chapel, empty except for a single candle at the altar. The light danced over the face of a wooden crucifix, illuminating the carved expression of sorrow and peace. "Confession?" he asked. "Something like that." The memory struck her suddenly. The crash, the sound of her father hitting the floor, her mother screaming. Prize the smell of whiskey, the silence that followed. She had tried to revive him, her small hands trembling on his chest, whispering, "Please wake up. I didn't mean it. Please." The candle's flicker seemed to echo that same plea now, a fragile flame against an endless dark. She took a breath. "I hated him for what he did to us," she said softly. "But I hate myself more for hating him." Brother Thomas nodded. "Hatred is a heavy cross, but mercy," she cut in. "Mercy feels impossible." He smiled gently. "That's why it's divine." They sat in silence for a while. The rain drummed against the roof, a rhythm that steadied her heart. "He wasn't a monster," she said finally. "He was broken." "And what about you?" he asked. She frowned. "What do you mean? Are you broken, too?" Clara's voice trembled. "I think I've been punishing myself all this time because I survived, and he didn't." Brother Thomas placed a hand on her shoulder. "Perhaps it's time you stop." She closed her eyes, tears spilling freely. "How?" "By remembering that mercy isn't forgetting what happened," he said. "It's remembering and choosing love anyway." They prayed together, words she hadn't spoken in years. As she whispered them, something shifted inside her, as though an old wound had begun to close from within. When she opened her eyes, the rain had stopped. A thin ray of sunlight pierced through the stained glass window, casting colors across her face. Brother Thomas smiled faintly. "There," he said, "a sign." Clara laughed softly. "Of what?" "That you're allowed to begin again." Outside, the air was fresh, the world glistening after rain. She walked through the monastery garden, where flowers bent under the weight of droplets. Everything smelled alive: wet, earth, lavender, and renewal. She stopped beside a small wooden bench, where she and her mother once sat when she was a girl. In the soil nearby, a single yellow tulip caught her eye, bright against the gray stone walls. She knelt beside it, brushing rain from its petals. It reminded her of her father's favorite color, the one he used to paint the kitchen walls when he was sober and singing off-key. She smiled through tears. "You were good once," she whispered, "and I remember that now." Before leaving, Clara walked to the edge of the monastery grounds. The hills stretched before her, vast and green, washed clean by the rain. She felt lighter, not empty, but free. She looked back once more, toward the chapel, and whispered, "Thank you." The bell tolled again, not mournful this time, but soft and steady, like a heartbeat. As she started the car, sunlight spilled through the clouds, bathing the road ahead in gold. For the first time in years, she didn't flinch at brightness.